No, I'm delighted to be joined in studio now. I would say delighted is probably an understatement now. I'm delighted to be joined in studio with Lee Keegan. Lee, how are you keeping? All good?
Now. Thanks for having us here today.
I think we probably need to start with first off with you. How are you getting on? How's the injury-wise with your injury front?
Positive, yeah. I had my referral there, a 3-month referral there a couple of weeks ago, so I got that all clear in terms of being able to go back running. Mobility and flexibility within the hip joints are very good, so I'm happy with the news. So I'm just literally following kind of protocol with medical team, doctor and stuff like that. So thankfully actually I'm back on the pitch running now for the last kind of week and a half, 2 weeks, and all pain free and all positive. So just looking to get back into training and try and burn the lungs up a bit now. And that's the hardest part. Like I said, you can run straight all day, but it's the when you get back into the proper kind of nature of the way we're playing now, that's the hard stuff.
Yeah, no, that's half the battle. I was listening to you talking to Nathan just before Christmas, and you were saying that you want to be back at you're ahead of schedule essentially. Yeah. What have you done actually to get yourself back? Because I'm hearing hip operations in my head, and I've known lots of lads that have had hip operations over the last 10 or 15 years, and it can be problematic further going forward. So what have you done to get yourself in the shape that you're in now?
I suppose I wasn't the biggest kind of guy to do a lot of maintenance work and stretching and stuff away from, I suppose, our training regimes, because usually we train 4 or 5 times a week. All you want to do is sit in the couch at home and just literally just sink away, because again it's very rigorous, it's very tough on the body. So I literally got my rehab program from both the clinic, then Waterford where I got my surgery done, and then from our medical team. So I kind of followed up with a couple of guys who got it done before. Brendan Harrison was a guy that was with us now. He had it done last year, so I kind of asked him a couple of questions and followed the program, stuck to it most days over the winter, and said that, I didn't want to be in the gym lifting weights, stuff like that, and putting on bulk, and that's where probably a lot of my issues probably arise from over the years, to come back a bit bulky and try and lose it. A lot of pressure on my hips and stuff like that. So literally stuck to that, did a lot of swimming and a lot of stretching and bits like that, and just took a bit of advice from the medical. I said GA players, I think they're very knowledgeable when it comes back to playing. So I said, listen, I'm going to trust our medical team in terms of when I should be going back, when I should be running, what I should be doing on my days off. And thankfully I stuck to a lot of stretching, kind of went to the pool a lot, so stuff like that. Like basically it was a whole new regime for me, so I just really bought into it. Lucky enough, I had a great response in terms of being able to come back pain free and stuff like that. And I said I got the good news a couple of weeks ago in terms of there's no pain there in the joints or anything like that. So it was nothing special, nothing spectacular, just good old stretching and bits of stretching I hadn't done before in terms of my areas, what joints I hadn't worked fully and stuff like that. So
are you more aware of your body now? Do you think? I think you do in general as you get older, of course you do. But are you more than aware of what you're doing with prehab? Yeah, everything like that now.
More so now than ever, I suppose, because this is one of my kind of first major injury in terms of playing GA. So it definitely kind of opened my eyes in terms of what I need to do to get my body right again and play at the highest level. And because Mayo are kind of always at the elite level year in year out, it's really important that you have a good base. And I really start to see the progression and the positivity from doing this kind of work now, instead of having to do it down the line and trying to catch up to the guys who are already full tilt. So I've definitely really opened my eyes in terms of what I need to do to prevent these kind of injuries going forward, and it's something I'm going to try and maintain and manage over the next couple of years. Definitely.
I mentioned the chat there you had with Nathan, and Nathan asked you about long-term damage and what you think about, and I heard you saying, look, of course you want to have time with the kids and you want to make sure that you're right when you're going forward, but I think it's a difficulty to think about, certainly when you're playing, isn't it? Because you're not necessarily thinking 20 years ahead. You're just thinking about the moment. You're thinking about being fit for the next game, being fit for the whatever it would be, either league game, championship game, whatever it would be, your club game. That's the only thing you can think about in general. That's the thing that I would have in my head.
Well, the big thing with GA, you're in a bubble nearly all year, so you're in an internal bubble with that group for 7, 8, 9 months of the year, and when you get away from that, then it's hard to know what to do or how you react. So of course, it is important to think about stuff outside GA, because it won't be there forever, and you have to think about providing for yourself in terms of work wise. Obviously you want to be looking at family, stuff like that. So I want to have some quality of life when I do finish. Now it is very difficult because I'm enjoying it. I love.
But what do you think in relation to that though? So I think, as you said, you're in a bubble. You essentially, I think sportsmen and women, you have to be in a bubble because you've just got to be focusing on yourself solely, really. But can you actually see the bigger picture? Can you actually look beyond what you're actually doing right now?
Yeah, and I suppose we're getting a bit older now. I'm just 28 now, so I'm getting a bit of slag. But anyway, you have to. I suppose you have to kind of have some form of plan in your head. Now, again, it could go left or right or any direction. So for me, I like to have maybe some form of what I need to do or what I have to, what I need to prevent these kind of injuries. As I said, I want to have some form of quality life. I want to be able to go to games with friends, family, whatever it is, and just enjoy it and not go around looking to get a hip replacement. That was my biggest worry initially when I heard about the hip surgery I needed to get, and so that's kind of prevention where that was. So again, if I keep on top of it now, again, it's very hard because you're in a bubble, and all I'm thinking about is obviously trying to get back on the pitch with the guys and trying to help them out any way I can, and hopefully have another long Indian summer with a better conclusion. But that's the way we're thinking at the moment. So I'm very lucky in one way that we have such a great bunch of guys around us that you're mixing with and having the crack with constantly. But again, you have to think of your outside life as well. You know, you have your partner, you have your family, your friends. So like this winter is probably my first winter I've got off in a couple of years. I really got to enjoy kind of catching up with a lot of my mates, you know, either going to games, catching up with a drink, maybe a coffee, whatever it was, and having a bit of time with the partner as well, like which is important. So you have to keep the peace at all angles. So I had a good winter away from.
I was going to say that. I heard you saying, did you enjoy Christmas? Because I heard you saying, I'm going to enjoy my Christmas. Did you really enjoy Christmas?
I enjoyed it, yeah. And we're lucky we got a holiday as a group for Mayo, obviously, because we're in Dublin. So we're in Malaysia for 10 days, which is great fun with the guys. Like Joe, I always say you want to get away from them, but then so it's going to you're back with them on the holidays. So yeah, we had a great winter. I had a great winter in terms of just, you know, getting away from, I suppose, Gaelic just for a month. Even
do you have that? You know, saying you want to get away from them. Would you be constantly dropping the old text and
of course
you do?
It's like a club team, like Joe. You're always bouncing off each other, like so. And you have a couple of characters like Barry, Big Bird Moran, like, and he's slagging you constantly there on the group WhatsApps and stuff like that. So that's where the crack is too. And you kind of miss that. Then you're looking forward to get back in with the guys, have that kind of interaction again, and a bit of fun, like so. But no, definitely the winter was a nice, relaxing one, and I'm really happy that I got the surgery to really get my downtime and just kind of reflect on the year we had last year and stuff like that. So one I'm fond of, one I enjoyed, but now I'm looking forward to get back into action.
So, but you think you'll be back in for the back end of the league,
please,
the league campaign? Yeah.
Well, just going on my medical review.
Have you got any specific target that you would be looking at?
I hope to get maybe the second last game definitely, because we have a short window there between the last game of league towards the 13th of May, which is goal of the championship. So I think it's important for myself maybe to get some running, some match time to my legs anyway, because again, very hard to replace match time against training time. So that's the plan in my head anyway. But again, I'm going to follow the whole medical protocol. I was
going to say, just in relation, I see a lot of the GAA boys, and certainly in relation to hips, I hear a lot of GAA boys that are getting the hip injuries, and it's probably understandable when you see the hits that they take and the positions that you're getting your bodies in when you're taking the hits as well. But do you kind of watch back? Do you look back, and do you take any sort of, I don't know, maybe what I'm thinking in relation to maybe avoiding these sort of hits as well, which of course you got to, but when you take the hits and you're trying to get away from someone and your hips essentially are
driving you.
Yeah, but that's what taking you through, and it's just striking to me that the amount of lads that are getting these hip injuries. And again, I go back to maybe a point we originally said before, where it's a long-term plan, thinking about your long-term plan, but are you trying to manage your body now in a way that you wouldn't necessarily be managing it in a way where you kind of, when you're younger, you're just going through it, you're taking the hits and you're going through with it? It's a complicated one, but that's maybe where I'm trying to...
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. Yeah, definitely, Joe, I suppose even my training load now, I have to, obviously adapt and kind of change it up to...
So what do you do then in relation to training? I'm
doing a lot more kind of swimming, so a lot more kind of flexible exercise within the pool, a lot more stretching at home, which I would never done before. I was just literally train
out of the car,
home,
onto the training ground,
but then go just literally sit in the couch then for your 2 days off, because you just don't want to do anything because you're not fit to so like I take a great example. It looks like Andy Moran now is 34, and he's getting the year last year.
I say Andy Moran is probably a prime example of that. So Andy's had 2 serious knee injuries. He's come back now, of course, playing as well as he's ever played.
So
is he someone then that all you lads within the squad there you can look at and think,
prime example, and not only for example but for advice and how guidance in terms of how he managed himself, changed his whole lifestyle to adapt to the whole playing with Mayo and the intensity that goes with playing the GA. So he's a prime example. He's a great man to talk to. He gives you tips here, what to do, maybe not what to do. He looks at his training load. Obviously he runs the gym now, and he's getting time to stretch, work out, look after his muscles. And so he is a prime example that age is not everything really. It's how you manage your body, and that's probably the biggest example I take from Andy. And like his positivity to go with that is even worse. Trying and keep him quiet is hard work at times, but he's definitely a guy that I'd be looking at now, I suppose, in my latter years now. I said I'm 28 now, which is not...
Can you get better? Do you think you can get better?
Of course you can get better, and again, Andy got better. He had a tough couple of years with injuries, he said there, and he comes back and gets player of the year, and deservedly so, because he was the best player in show last year. For some of the stuff he did on the pitch was just amazing, and you're thinking this guy is 34 and getting older, but he's getting better. So it's a great example for lads young and old, that there's, if you look after yourself, maintain yourself well, there is a lot of hope there and a lot of scope that you can do very well in your career.
You've had so many specific jobs when we've been watching over the last few years, certainly man marking jobs. How do you approach the specific roles that you'd be given, say whether it be James Horan or Stephen Rochford? What would certainly with the role that you're given, but how would you approach that yourself when you're getting yourself prepared for a specific job within a game?
I suppose a lot comes down to the gaffer, that he trusts you to mark one. They're obviously so-called best performers or best forwards. So for me, that's a compliment to myself that obviously I'm playing well within training. I'm trusted to do a job for the team.
Do you feel it's ever taking something away from your own game?
Sometimes, yeah. I think if you're marking one of the best forwards of the game, of course, is going to negate maybe your attacking style, which I love to attack, obviously. But I suppose first and foremost, I have to say I'm a defender. So obviously my prime objective is to deny or stop him from creating damage or scoring, whatever it is. And sometimes us defenders get all the blame for some of the stuff we do in the pitch. I certainly do anyhow, which is grand. That's part of the role for us. But no, it's a role I love doing. I love trying to negate their best players, and I want to be marking their best players. I said I want to look back and maybe when I finish my career in 5-10 years time, say, do you know what, I got to mark the likes of the Dermot Connolly's, Enda Smiths, the Sean Cavanaghs of this world, and compete very well against them. And obviously at the end of the day, it's coming down to your one-on-one matchup. So that's where the game is going to be influenced. But,
it's specific to that then. So how do you feel as though then, right, I've got to do that job, that man marking job, but I am actually going to then impose my game on them, and I'm going to be getting beyond them, doing the things that I can do that's going to influence the team as well.
And that's important. I can't let him dictate the way he's going to play the game. So obviously being a man marking, you're going to track him around as much as possible, but you have to put him under pressure too. And I'm lucky enough that I can have guys that if I do make an attack forward or the odd burst, they're going to obviously support me first and foremost, but to cover my position then. So I have that trust that I can take off and put him under pressure, because at the end of the day, no forward likes chasing back, and I know for a fact we don't like chasing forwards all either. So and that's how I try and adapt to it, especially in the space of Croke Park. You want to get them opportunities, but it's the time enough doing it. You can't constantly keep doing it. I got a very harsh learning lesson back in 2012 or 13 against Dublin in the league, where I went attacking constantly, and next to my man had 3 points scored in 10 minutes. So that's the kind of learnings you have to take from a game as well. So obviously that was a negative for me, but I turned it into a positive in terms of
when you're preparing for that specific role. Would you watch videos?
Of course, video is a big thing. You have to look back and again, it's not the prettiest thing when you have had a bad game. But in some way you have to look at there's positive, I can do better there, or I should have been in that position, or I could have prevented him setting up that score or scoring that, whatever it is. So video analysis is key.
And hypercritical of yourself?
At times you have to be, but I am quite a positive person, so I'll always, although there is negatives, I'll come out with the positive, and I'll try and I'll try and bring that to my next training session. I'll talk with the gaffer, I'll talk with the selectors, I'll talk with the group of guys around us. We meet up as defenders, say what we need better from each other, or as a group how to prevent stuff like that. So definitely video analysis is a massive thing for us, and just having brief chats with guys. I think it's important to bounce off other defenders and get their take on how they mark. Do they mark in front, behind, side by side, bits like that. So Keegan is one of my favourite kind of Mayo defenders ever to play, or one of my favourite players anyway. So I kind of like to talk to him quite often to get some advice on how he defends and how he has time to attack as well. So that's the general outline. And again, it is a compliment to get a specific job to mark someone good. Is it within is it within your team structure? Is it win at all costs? I think it's not just us. I think it's a GA thing, to be honest. I think that it's probably not the prettiest thing to see, this whole cynicism part of GA, but I think we're lucky enough that our game is still evolving. Look at this here already. The blanket fence is nearly taken away because teams are starting to realise we can put big scores up. So yes, it's still very much part of it, and we got to see it firsthand Saturday night with the Mayo Kerry game, and that's just the way the nature of it is with the elite teams. They're going to do it. I don't think there's any issue within the teams that are doing it, because they're winning games, and all you remember is who wins and who doesn't win. So it's definitely what the top teams are doing regularly, and it's something that needs to be probably looked at a bit more as well. Yeah.
What shape do you think then Mayo are in right now ahead of? Well, I know the season obviously just started. We're 2 games into the season now. What about looking beyond, certainly from your own perspective and the team's perspective collectively? Then how do you feel as though the team's evolving?
I'd be quite positive. I know result-wise Saturday we didn't go too well. Kerry put a really good performance against us in Caspar, so that's disappointing from our point of view. But I suppose it's in terms of how we're getting, I think we're getting on very well, because we're missing 6 or 7 kind of starting guys from the All-Ireland last year. So I think it's really important to look at some of the younger guys that maybe were on the fringe last year. You need to get game time and give them exposure to the National League and see see they're ready to challenge at the national stage against like the Kerrys, the Donegals, the Dublins, all these kind of guys. So that's really important for us. So I think we'll get a better kind of outlook when we have maybe 4 or 5 games into the league and see where we are, and then start planning really for the championship from then on. So no, I think we're very much focused. Obviously we're focused on doing well in the league and trying to get some guys in there, but I think our major focus this year with Galway and May 13th, because we've had a couple of tough losses over the last few years against them in particular. And
how difficult has that been when you've lost Connacht over the last couple of years?
Of course, we dominated for 5 years, so obviously to be I suppose kicked off the throne the way we were twice, and rightly so. We were very disappointed in the 2 games we lost against Galway, and rightly beaten. So yes, and it's important to get silverware as well. We haven't won silver in the last 2 years, although we've been in 2 All-Ireland finals, which is disappointing. Yes, there is positives for getting there, but you have to finish it with something, and I think Connacht is one step towards that. Obviously with the Super 8s coming this year and the restructuring, it's really important that we take the direct route this year, not the qualifier route, because again, you're going to be looking at some big teams there on a slippy road. So definitely we want to be looking at Connacht this year as a major priority for ourselves, but we're just going to kind of build on the league performance, and obviously we need to be really looking at ourselves from last Saturday. That was really disappointing, as it was a home game and a big crowd in Gaspar to see that. So we need to really look at ourselves out this week for a goal this Sunday. Yeah,
what drives you and the team on then? What given you mentioned the All-Ireland finals, the semis, and everything over the last 5 or 6 years with you in the side in particular, what's driving you on then to continue to bounce back? And I know it's cliched answers at many times as well, but you've shown unbelievable character. You've given so much hope to us all, I think, when we're watching you over the years. So, and
we love it, but it's not generic. I suppose we come back every year and people say it's probably how do you do it? But sure, of course we're going to do it because we love it. And that's first and foremost, and you represent your county.
But it's easy just to slip back and you can go out at a quarter, an All-Ireland quarter, whatever it would be. You say you lose confidence. It's easy slippery slope just to think soddy. What is it that just gets you that continues to come back and raise your levels? Because this year, I think probably, certainly in the last 5 or 6 years that I've been watching the side, I think certainly from the Roscommon game onwards, and I spoke to Stephen Rochford about this as well, saying, Stephen, look, the team didn't necessarily click as a side throughout, and all of a sudden that Roscommon replay, it just came together, and the level that you reached as a team collectively over that 3 or 4 games was just incredible, the best I've seen you. So what's driving you to that sort of standard, that sort of level?
It's games like that drive you the following year. Obviously we didn't get over the line, and it was only you're talking about millimetres that we lost, but it's the likes of that when you look back last year and you look at yourself in that condition playing that well, and you see the potential that you can do on the biggest stage, and that's what drives a lot of our lads. Is you want to get back to that stage and we want to perform the way we did, because we know the potential is huge within ourselves, and there's no reason why we can't go on and push that a bit further. Now we know what we have to do. Obviously Dublin are the team to beat as ever, and we're still part of a chasing pack with the Donegals, the Kerrys and whoever else is there. So but we like, for us the league is all about performance, so if we get performances we know we're going to win. Saturday we didn't, but if we keep building on performances, bring a couple of guys with us, and we get back to the stage we want to, then we know we're in a good position to be targeting Connacht, targeting Croke Park. So as hard as they are, the defeats are tough. They are. You do a bit of soul searching in the few months you have off, and it's important to kind of reflect, especially after a long year. We 10 games last year in championship, so you need to reflect and think, right, just get away from this for a couple of months, reassess, and before you know it, you want to be back. You want to play. You want to get out there. You want to be part of a group that's. I
suppose that's the frustrating thing with you, the injury as well, isn't it?
But I'm sitting with the group, having the crack with them, and I have to be there because again we're just playing to each other. So yes, as difficult it is when we lose, and we've lost some really tough games over the last couple of years, and last year was one of the hardest ones I'd say as a group and as a team we took. Yeah. But the texts were flying around November, December, when we back training. Can't wait to get back in there, have the crack. Just get back there, slog. That's what it's about. Team environment. You're pushing yourselves, you're pushing the team. You're just trying to get the best out of each other. And I still think there's another gear to go with us yet. I said that was some of the best games we played in Croke Park last year. I still think we can go a step further when we can, if we have to. And I hope to God we see it this year. I think we have the potential to do this year. I said we're a very resilient bunch of guys, but no one got trophies for resilience. I think it's just you have to get trophies in the cabinet to show how great we were, and we are a great team. But to tell people, to show people how great we are, we need to start winning.
I think that's a difficulty, isn't it, as well? You can't necessarily claim to be great or have that great. I totally agree with what you're saying, but it is all about that silver.
No one remembers lose All Irelands. Yeah. Unfortunately, Dublin look back and they've won 4 in 6 years, or 5 and 7. Sorry. So and that's a measure of an absolute supreme outfit that they're consistently doing it, and they're showing again this year already with their 2 league games that they're looking to be the best team again. And I think it's important that we have to look at their standards. Our standards are high. We need to raise another inch or two to get to where they are, because they're doing it every year now, and at the moment, you know, we're only a point behind Dublin, but that point feels like a long way when you start back in the long road. So it's just about getting them margin gains, because other teams are getting better as well. That's the other side of it. You know, we think we're getting better, but then look at Galway already. Galway in Division 1, two league wins out of 2 already. So it just shows progression of other teams. They're part of a chasing pack, but they're getting better, and it's important for us not to be looking at last year. Yes, take stuff away from last year, we did well, but let's try and build on that and bring something new to the table again, and I think we're very capable of doing that.
So this is the year then, yeah?
Please God, yeah.
Come on, Lee.
I don't want to see it there, I'd say.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming in. Cheers.
Hey, hope you enjoyed that latest offering from Off the Ball. If you want to subscribe, and you should, check out just up here. All our latest stuff is just down here. Generally, knock yourself out.